Hello and good morning. Buenos dias. Hello, my name is Ciclali Ruiz. I'm a first-gen student attending Santa Ana College, and I've been involved in organizing for the past 3 years with Resilience Orange County. Organizing has taught me how to be strong, unapologetic, and express my voice. Over the past 2 years, a lot of things have changed. I'm more cautious about sharing myself and experiences in a school with anyone. We don't get a lot of support from schools in the Santa Ana Unified School District because teachers avoid talking about immigration. I've had teachers who I can't trust giving my immigration status. I've had teachers make jokes about undocumented students, and our school administration has not put out a message that immigrant students are welcomed. My social experience as an immigrant has been difficult over the past 2 years. My family and myself have been living in fear. Every day I wake up worried about my parents and my brothers, wondering if I'll come home and see them. In our community in Santa Ana, because so many people are undocumented, we also need schools to ensure our safety in ways that don't just mean more police, because we often feel the police presence can be a threat to deportation. My last 2 years in high school were very difficult given the comments about immigrants as drug dealers, criminals, and rapists. Both my parents are the opposite of that. They are hardworking people who wake up every morning to put food on our table. We lack support for the LGBT community in my high school. Since the teacher sponsor for the GSA club left my school, we don't have a GSA anymore. LGBTQ students don't feel welcome and wanted at school because of the hateful comments and things they hear from other students. Where can these students go without support from teachers or the GSA club? In May of 2017, I participated in a statewide student delegation that met with State Superintendent Torlickson's office. I wanted to be part of that meeting to share my experience as an undocumented student with state leaders from his office and the California Department of Education. I want to recognize all the other students from across the state who sat down in that meeting, spoke their truth, and shared their feelings about going to school. My experience reflects the experience of many undocumented youth in our community, but not all my peers have the opportunity to share their experience. So I wanted to be a voice on their behalf. Having a resolution for the state superintendent to make sure we have welcoming and safe schools for all students will help other students feel comfortable to share their stories and experience and attend school unafraid. Working on this resolution over the past year was a difficult process because we had to figure out how to put our feelings and needs as students into a document that can be a model for all schools. The final product is actually a beautiful thing because it brings all of our work together. The Welcoming and Safe Schools for All model resolution focuses on expanding safe haven schools to include all students impacted by the current climate of fear, hate, and discrimination. It provides commitments for local education agencies to take action in three broad areas to proactively uplift welcoming and safe schools for all students: safety and protection, support and services, and affirming and celebrating diversity. For example, it asks districts to commit to incorporate practices to resolve conflicts in positive ways, such as restorative justice practices, minimize police presence on campus to intervention in assistance of immediate physical threat to the safety of students or staff, provide a mental health, trauma-informed, culturally based healing and relationship-centered services and practices, conduct school-wide and other educational events to address transphobia, homophobia, and other discrimination and bullying based on sexual orientation and gender identity. Having the State Superintendent's Office, California Department of Education, California Teachers Association, and other education organizations work with students to release the model resolution means that youth leaders are being heard, that adult leaders are responding to our needs, and that we can successfully work together to address the issues that threaten safe and welcoming schools. It shows that all of our hard work together can make a difference within schools and districts. I believe that all California school districts should take on the resolution because it will show that all students can be accepted and be themselves at school. We are seeing students across California and the nation take a leadership. As a progressive state, California needs to stand up for all students because schools are our second home. All schools need to make sure students feel safe, comfortable, and want to come to school. Students need to be motivated to continue being leaders. When our schools are doing well and welcoming, it helps the whole community and state to become stronger and more resilient. Thank you for listening to my story. I would like to invite Troy Peters on stage. Troy Peters is a recent graduate from Cabrillo High School in Long Beach and leader with the Gender and Sexualities Alliance Network, GSAN. As a leader with GSAN, Troy has gained resource skills and language to address challenges faced by transgender, gender-conforming, and queer students in schools and communities. He is an active leader with the Invest in Youth campaign in Long Beach. Throughout the campaign, Troy and other youth leaders are pushing for a significant amount of resources to be invested in mental health and safe spaces for young people and the creation of a holistic youth center in Long Beach. He currently attends Compton College. Thank you.
My name is Troy Peters. My pronouns are he, him, his. Last year I graduated from Cabrillo High School in Long Beach, and now I attend Compton College. I've been a youth leader with the Genders and Sexualities Alliance Network in Long Beach, and had I not joined the GSA network, I would not be an advocate today. It gave me a lot of experiences to learn from other people as well as to teach others. In high school, I didn't have a lot of issues with other students or teachers treating me differently because the vibe I presented myself as someone who wasn't for conflict but wouldn't shy from it if it arose. As a trans student in high school, I faced a lot of questions and curiosity about my gender identity. Now that I'm starting community college, I haven't had an opportunity to find safe and welcoming spaces. The climate so far has been fairly toxic. I've been getting misgendered by the football players, and I haven't built a support system in which I could safely address the issue. My biggest issues and challenges came in elementary and middle school. Even before the climate of hate that followed the 2016 elections, there weren't many safe spaces for me as a trans student. There was a lot of ignorance. I got beat up all the time for being different. I wasn't even aware that I was trans. I just didn't feel like what I was born as. So it put a target on my back, and the staff pretended like they didn't see other students treat me like I didn't matter. The only time I experienced any support was when a counselor pulled me aside in 6th grade and spoke to me for about 15 minutes. That was really the only support I received during the middle school years. My sisters, who were also queer identified, attended the same middle school and didn't find a supportive environment either. The day after the 2016 elections, we weren't expecting one of my friends, whose mother is undocumented, to show up to school, but she did. She told us you gotta show no fear. If we show fear, hate wins. That day, my school announced that it would protect students from immigration enforcement and deportation. As someone who had recently come out, knowing that my school had intentions to protect their students helped me push through the fear that the current state of our administration had instilled on me the night before. At this time, I became aware that other people were feeling just as scared and confused as I was. I realized that I wasn't the only person that feared my rights being taken away. I realized that hundreds of thousands of people among minority communities like mine were feeling this weight of uncertainty upon them. Soon after the elections, I was motivated to continue my advocacy because some people had been forced into silence due to fear for their safety, and I knew someone had to speak for them. Currently, I'm a leader with the Invest in Youth campaign in Long Beach. Through that campaign, we're pushing for a significant amount of resources to be invested in mental health and safe spaces for young people. The ultimate goal is to create a youth center in Long Beach and provide resources for young people, which are especially important in today's environment. As a leader with the GSA Network Youth Council, I have been able to find a place where everyone can feel comfortable with who they are, be friends, and not be super worried about what's happening beyond the walls of the safe space that keeps their secrets. At the same time, it provides us with the resources, skills, and language to address the challenges when we experience fear, uncertainty, and persecution for who we are. Now that I'm at Compton College, the only teacher to pull me aside and ask me about my pronouns was my English teacher. That sort of openness is important to create meaningful student-teacher relationships that make the students not feel alone in our learning communities due to how we present and identify ourselves. At Cabrillo, Mr. Newman, a teacher during my last year in high school, did a good job of creating a safe and open space for honest questions in order for people to take time to better understand our different experiences and identities. Today we're asking educators, schools, and districts across the state to do what Mr. Newman does, to create communication for openness, for students to have safe space for understanding. We need schools to create safe spaces for students to ask open and honest questions and be educated on the subject of different identities. Thank you for your time. It's now my great pleasure to introduce Glenn Price. Glenn Price is the Chief Deputy Superintendent of the Public Instruction with the California Department of Education. Glenn brings over 30 years of expertise in highly successful strategic planning, policy development, and high-performance programming for a wide range of local, state, national, and international organizations. He has worked extensively with numerous nonprofit organizations, local education agencies, government entities, and collaborative initiatives. Please welcome Glenn Price.
All right, Troy. Hey, how about another round of applause for the amazing words from Troy? What great words of wisdom we're receiving already today here at the water cooler. You know, about 10 days ago, a very transformational event occurred in my life. My daughter and son-in-law welcomed a new baby into the world. Her name, yeah, you can clap for that. I was clapping for it. I was jumping up and down. And I spent the last week holding that baby about as much as I could. And as I did, you know, I just felt tremendously inspired. And sorry, Camille, but she's the most beautiful 7-day-old in the world. But also because I feel like I have a new job. And that job is I'm going to try and be the very, very best grandfather that I can possibly be. And as I held that baby in my arms and I sang her ancient songs and new songs and some songs that I was just making up on the spot, I know you've all been there doing that, I profoundly remembered my adult job in the state of California. You know, we just heard about this resolution that these amazingly brave students worked on and developed and got engaged in. And, you know, as adults in the room, you know, okay, some of us are the adults in the room. It's our job. It's our job to keep our children safe, and if necessary, to fight for the conditions that will make them so. As adults in the room, just like we would never plant a seedling on concrete and just leave it there to dry up, we would never plant our children, or we should never plant our children in environments where they will not receive the proper social, emotional, and intellectual support they need to evolve and develop into the kinds of humans that they can be. This is not optional. It's the fundamental role of a community, of a state, and a nation. It's not optional. It's our job as adults in the room. You know, recognizing that job and recognizing that role, and we've heard about the days following November 2016 and the early days of 2017. State Superintendent of Public Instruction, Tom Torlakson, my boss, realized that we have some heavy lifting to do in the state of California. We've got some big work to do because we are not going to tolerate a moment where any child is not welcomed into a school in the state of California. So that's why he created the CD and the Safe Havens Initiative that we heard reference, and it was building on some groundbreaking work from Sac City Unified, from LA Unified. And it rests really on a single presence that educators need to make sure students who could be harmed by deportation, either themselves or having a parent or family member deported, continue to thrive and succeed. Dr. Rincon Gallardo referenced earlier kind of the special mission that California has You know, we've always kind of felt that in California, but at no time in our nation's history is it more important that we continue to develop this California way. And to date, I just want to celebrate the fact that over 120 school districts in the state of California, representing over 2 million children, have adopted a safe havens policy. Yeah, over 2 million children. So the ethos of the California way really rests on the proposition that educators, students, schools can create excellence if given the right resources to do so. And what I find so inspiring and what Superintendent Torlakson is so supportive of is not the many, many clauses or whereases that might be present in the model resolution, as great and fantastic as they are, but in its ultimate kind of dictum to us and manifests that what we have to do continuously is not make students like Troy the exception in terms of their ability to engage in this kind of work, but make sure that work happens in every single school district in California, and in every single school district we're engaging students so they can create these kinds of resolutions. You know, we talked about just the amazing victory that we had over the weekend with AB 2626, and I'm so proud of all the early education advocates in this room that made that work happen so we can extend those benefits throughout the state of California. So proud of our state in leading the way on climate change. But you know, one thing that we can do and we haven't done yet is make sure that every single school in the state of California has a valid and reliable survey that it can use to measure student engagement in our schools. We can measure climate change from satellites. We can measure student engagement on our campuses. So I'd like us to use this resolution as a source of inspiration, but really the most inspiring part is our ability to engage students. We have a tool that I just want to mention as my time is drawing to a close here. It actually was a piece of legislation brought to us by Assemblymember Tony Thurmond in the last legislative session, AB 261. AB 261 mandates not only that every school district in the state of California have a student school board member, but that student school board member have a vote. And importantly, that student school board member can present resolutions and bring them to the board, present motions, present actions. So we now have a mechanism whereby students can bring the kinds of resolutions that we're talking about today to their boards. So just in closing, I just want to call upon us to wrap every single one of the 6.2 million children that we have in the state of California in the kind of love and support that we would give our own children and grandchildren, to engage them as meaningful actors in their schools, and to carry this work forward that these brave students have so valiantly launched. So as we step forward here today, we're just tremendously fortunate to have amazing teacher leaders who have joined us on their journey. And it's my pleasure to introduce now someone who needs no introduction, but California Teachers Association Vice President Teresa Montaño.
So my pronouns are her, hers, she, and ella. CTA's mission statement reads, "The California Teachers Association exists to protect and promote the well-being of its members, to improve the conditions of teaching and learning, to advance the cause of free, universal, quality public education, and to ensure that the human dignity and civil rights of all children and youth are protected, and to secure a more just, equitable, and democratic society." We maintain that this is not just a mission statement. It's not simply words on a paper, but that we have worked hard to implement it in classrooms, on the streets, in boardrooms, and in our organizing efforts. Issues of educational equity, community empowerment, full funding for public education, issues of equity and human rights are central to the work that we do, both as unionists and as educator. In the area of immigrant rights, CTA has taken steps to ensure justice for immigrant communities, especially in the face of amped up immigration enforcement that has put many of our students and their families at risk. And we realize that our work is just begun. Every single day, we see the impact of the decisions on the part of the federal government on our students. Many of them come to school and college consumed by stress and anxiety over what the future holds for them and their families. In a recent article, Teaching Tolerance pointed out that immigrant youth, particularly those who enter as unaccompanied minors, have high rates of anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress disorder. And while immigrant rights is a central part of our work, it is not the exclusive part of our social justice work. We recognize that both supporting and providing safe harbors is demanded and must be demanded for all our most marginalized students, including young girls and women who are subjected to sexual harassment and the types of stuff they had to witness on television just this week. Students of color subjected to the daily onslaught of deficit racial narratives and homophobic practices, policies directed at our LGBTQ students, especially our transgendered students who remain among the most misunderstood and ostracized in our communities and in our schools. So we take great pride in working to promote and to advance the resolutions forward in our school boards and on our colleges, declaring our campuses sanctuaries. On the ground, we organize our units against the everyday realities of our most vulnerable students face, not only in words, but in the implementation of policies and practices. We sponsored and participated in a May 1st event last year, statewide, and we gave our schools and colleges the parameters to do what they felt their members could do to support immigrant rights and safe harbors. Everything from wearing a t-shirt to joining immigrant rights demonstration. We have projects where local schools and colleges have worked on joint projects such as the one with Cal State Northridge, Asian Americans for Advancing Justice, Alhambra, Wilson, and Lincoln High School, a cross-constituent collaborative working through Dream Centers to support our students. We continue to work on professional development for educators on issues like ending the school to deportation, the school to prison pipeline, Black Lives Matters. All are part of our professional development repertoire. We do these sessions not just for our educators, but in joint cross-constituent programs such as the one we did for Pomona superintendents and teachers. We encourage our locals to get involved in promoting the resolutions on school board and board of trustees level. Go to our CTA website. I invite you to see our CTA/for all our students website. We have posters that I'm sure that you have seen all across California that we encourage our educators to put in their classrooms, on their walls, in their windows of homes so that our students realize that they're a safe haven. We at CTA represent a variety of political perspectives, and we know that on the issues of racial and social justice, we are not perfect. I've got to tell you, it breaks my heart today, this year in 2018, to sit at the table and still hear about the negative experiences, the racial narratives that permeate our classrooms, from folks who may not understand how central this work is to academic achievement. It breaks my heart, not just as the vice president of CTA, but as a student of color who went through public schools and colleges. This is a personal issue for me, not just a political issue. We take great pride in the work we do for racial justice, and it's not just us. As you see in states and locals across this country, many of our locals, even as they engage in contract bargaining, are talking about bargaining for the common good. We're not just interested in what's good for us anymore. We are interested in justice for all. We believe it, we believe we act on it, and when we don't, we believe we challenge those in our profession who just may not be there just yet. They'll get there. We know they will, because every single person who enters the classroom because they care deeply about the children and their students that they're about to teach. But they are products of the same political system that we all are. And it takes time sometimes to get everybody to that place. Gives me pride to introduce our next speaker, Jaheim Jones, who is going to share his story and issue a call to action that I hope all of us accept.
My name is Jaheim Jones, and I attend Kennedy High School in Richmond, California. As a sophomore, I am a fellow at the Rise Youth Center in Richmond, California on the Riot Team, also known as Richmond Youth Organizing Team. At the Rise Center, we learn about issues that negatively and positively impact youth, where we brainstorm solutions and take actions in our schools and community to ensure safety in all schools and community for identity. As a member of the Riot Team, I've worked on a campaign around safety in our community, where we demanded money from the city dedicated to youth services and programs. I've also worked on the District Local Control Accountability Plans Parent and Student Committee to West Contra Costa Unified School District to increase resources for student safety and alternatives to policing. On that committee, three students and I worked together to break the barriers of ageism and build better schools in our West Contra Costa. Now that we have the Welcoming and Safe Schools for All Models resolution, districts across California will be able to use the example and revamp it to address their local needs and issues for welcoming and safe schools. For school districts and schools to adopt this resolution, they will actually need to put it into the practices to better our schools and our communities, since all students deal with ongoing issues and is outside of school and how they cope with it, with their trauma. For example, in Richmond, we need our schools to see, hear, and recognize youth and us for our identities and different backgrounds, and address the issues that impact different students directly. For students affected by issues of racism, gender expression, or others, we need resources to address our needs, such as ethnic groups and gender-neutral bathrooms. For everyone looking from the outside of my school, JFK, it stands for John F. Kennedy High School. However, my school doesn't have windows. It has poor AC system, horrible school climate, non-supportive teachers, and high gates that surround us so we can be kept in. So we call it JFK, Jail for Kids. We attend classes feeling and treated like if we're inmates instead of students. It is a problem that students look at their schools as jail sites and prisons instead of a safe haven place, where willful defiance has been abolished and students from all backgrounds have been accepted. Students shouldn't have to face these problems. As California, the leading state and progressive state, we should actually look at what's happening in our state and our communities, because we cannot count on the federal government to understand or know what we're going through. It's the job of our state and local leaders to take a stand and make sure that our schools are safe and welcoming to all identities. Let California be the spark of a great schools and push beyond the maximum to give every student a fair chance to learn in a clean and safe environment. We're encouraging all of you in your local communities to engage students and community members and form committees to take advantage of this model resolution. Across the state, there are still students who are facing challenges under attack because of their identities. Because of all our communities and schools are different, we need students, educators, and community members to come together, learn about the resolution, and take action. We call on everyone here to get involved in making sure that students are protected and know what to do if they are ever detained in school or come under attack. Again, my name is Jaheim Jones, and I thank you for listening to my story. For more information about the resolution and coalition, there will be a resource guide at the registration table. Thank you.
Courage is contagious, isn't it? So I invite you all to embrace this call for action and just give a big round of applause to our panelists for today. Thank you very much.